Welcome back. Next, we'll have our second ISTAT AeroTalks, this one from Courtney Miller. Courtney is the founder and managing director of Visual Approach, providing data and research to the aviation industry. He'll be sharing a Contrarian's Guide to the Future of Aviation. Please join me in welcoming Courtney to the stage.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's talk about how we think differently about the future of aviation. And what better way to think differently about the future of airplanes than to talk about the history of boats. Spring 1942, Allied merchant shipping losses across the Atlantic had reached catastrophic levels. See, the Allies had developed a convoy system, but this was developed in World War I. It simply wasn't working. And the convoy system worked like this. The merchant ships were in the middle, surrounded by the escort ships. Whenever a boat was attacked, the escort ships would fan out with their new tool, sonar, or ISTAT as the British called it, and they would search for the submarine where they would find it, and they would sink it. Only there was one problem. They weren't finding the submarine. And while they were out searching for it, other ships within the convoy were sunk. Through 1942, the trend of merchant shipping losses continued to increase, and the number of submarines that were destroyed were not increasing at all. Winston Churchill said the only reason he lost sleep during the war was the merchant shipping losses. And so he commissioned a team. It's called the Western Approaches Tactical Unit. And this team, WA2, this team was led by Captain Gilbert Roberts. And Captain Gilbert Roberts very immediately found that he had a problem. All the sailors to run the team were at war. So he reached out to the WRENS, Women's Royal Navy Service. And he built a team of up to 66 women who came in and they questioned the assumptions. They got in the heads of the German U-boat commanders. And here's what they found out. The U-boats were not approaching on the side under the surface, under the water. They were approaching from the rear, on the surface, under the cover of night. They would sail right into the middle of the convoy and fire at point-blank range. We know what the escort ships did. They fanned out looking for the submarine that wasn't there, leaving the other ships easy pickings until they simply ran out of torpedoes. Then it was a simple matter of submerging and allowing the convoy to sail overhead. And these tactics were questioned, and they were found out by this team of men and women, and counter tactics were put into place. After 1943, the amount of shipping losses in the North Atlantic fell dramatically while they found the submarines. This amazing team of men and women challenged the assumptions, and they won the war for Britain. So that leads us to ask, what assumptions are we not questioning in aviation? How can we think differently about the future of aviation? Well, let's start with the aircraft shortage. Welcome to 2025. It's been 5 years. How do we think about the undersupply or oversupply? We were so focused on demand coming out of COVID. It became a supply problem. Now we're so focused on supply. If we run out supply, we know where the crossover point is. It's about 2032. The problem is we are far more likely to resolve the aircraft shortage today through a change in demand rather than a change in supply. That means an economic correction. How about airlines? How do airlines see this? What's their perspective? Airline fleet managers' perspective is they need to manage the inflows of aircraft, keep their capacity, they manage the outflows. What happens when the inflows are constrained? Well, you can only manage the outflows. We know that, and we talk about this as delayed retirements, as lease extensions. How does that change how we think about the future of aviation? Will we see a correction to the shortage? Or will we build this new term that we're starting to hear called the flex fleet? We tend to think it's going to be the latter. What about China? Where is China? They're not ordering aircraft. They're one of the major players in the aircraft market. They aren't playing in the supply space, and we're undersupplied. What if China comes back and orders aircraft? Better question, what if they don't? What does that do to global demand? Which leads us to ask the question, what is supply anyway? We tend to think of it as the number of aircraft that are available, the number of seats maybe. Today, supply is better defined by available engines. And in fact, I'm going to take that one step further. Supply is defined by available green time. How does that change how we think about supply and demand in the future? How does that change how we think about the technology cycle? It's already slowing. What will it do in the future? Will it continue to slow? Tariffs. How do we think about tariffs? Plenty of conversation today about how tariffs are going to affect the cost of goods, the cost of trading the aircraft that we have across national lines. I want to talk about the demand effect of tariffs. Already today, we know that demand is down about 25% transborder between Canada and the US. We're seeing about the same from Mexico. In an industry where we connect people, how are we going to deal with deglobalization? This changes how we think about the future of aviation. I don't know when the next downturn will arrive, but I know that it will. About every 10 years. We're halfway through the business cycle. However, what we do know with increasing certainty is that the arrival of the next downturn is much more likely to be geopolitically driven. None of us here in our careers have seen downturns that have been so geopolitically driven. How does that make you think differently about the future of your businesses in this industry? Or not. I'm wrong a lot. It happens. The value of forecasting is not in being right. The value in forecasting is making your best guess and being the first one to know why you're wrong, and then you do it again. There are some of the best contrarian thinkers in aviation. I think of Adam Pilarski, Shannon Acker, Jerome Chung. If you ever get the opportunity, the rare opportunity to be with them when they're wrong, watch how they react. They're excited. It's a discovery. Being wrong means you're that much closer to finding the right answer. So, what will be tomorrow's competitive edge then? Well, I'm going to ask that question to you. Get ready to raise your hands. Who here believes that AI will change the way we work in the future? Raise your hand. Okay. Who here thinks AI is overrated? Raise your hand. Okay. Who raised their hands for both? Here are your contrarian thinkers. I hope you brought your resumes. Both can be true. What I just presented to you is called the black or white fallacy. I gave you a false choice. Both can be true. We know that both will be true. We've been working with these AI models for 20 years. They're amazing. And we're just looking at some of the image representations here. We can look back at some of the most epic moments in history, like that unforgettable evening when Marilyn Monroe was out with the Obama twins. But we know that artificial intelligence is already hitting limitations. It's moving so quickly. The models that are coming out today are more powerful. They're more expensive. But the performance is not better than what we were having last year. We are seeing those limitations. And so I turn back to WA2 and the RENs. What was different? What was truly different here? Is it that you had a group of women that came up with these brilliant ideas? No, that wasn't different. Women have been having brilliant ideas for millennia. Was it Captain Roberts building the team? I would argue it was this man, Admiral Max Horton, a submarine commander for the British Navy. He did not like WA2, so he visited to shut it down. and they talked him into playing one of the games. He lost 5-0. Here is a submarine commander who lost at his own game to a 20-year-old woman, Janet O'Kell. What did he do? Not a well-liked guy, stubborn. He was excited to be wrong. And he made sure that every commander in the Royal Navy went through WA2 and saw the results. They saved Britain. So what will be tomorrow's competitive edge? Will it be the engine space? Will it be mid-market? Will it be those who have the lowest cost of capital? I'm about to give the answer. You ready? I don't know. What we do know is that things are changing at a rapid pace. We are seeing new threats. We are seeing new opportunities hitting us at a pace that we haven't seen, well, in 88 years. Tomorrow's competitive advantage is not going to come from sonar. It's not going to come from artificial intelligence. It's not going to come from the tools. Tomorrow's competitive advantage is going to come from the people who know how to use them. It's going to come from the people who know when not to. You see, the value of tomorrow is not in our things and our tools. It's in us. It's in those who are willing to question the assumptions. It's in those who are willing to stand up and be wrong. I do that a lot. It's in those who are going to recognize that and enable those who have. The value for this industry, the future value for this industry, for our society, hell, for our world, it's you. It's us, humans 1.0. It's the same place it's always been. Thank you very much.